I warmly welcome you to Finance Series with Oyekemi Ajayi. It is a great pleasure to connect with you. Recently, the CBN had the MPC meeting and the committee arrived at several decisions, one of which includes reducing the MPR by 50 basis points to 27%. Amazing, right? It's been a while that we've heard of a reduction in the MPR. So today I'm going to be looking at strategies that you can adopt as a business to negotiate with your banks for reduction in interest rate. Yes, it is very possible, reduction in interest rate. Follow me as I go into this round of presentation. Thank you. As you may be aware, the decision made by the committee was centered around 4 different areas. But the key area that I'm going to focus on is the monetary policy rate and how it affects you as a business, how you can also negotiate with your banks to get favorable interest rates. Now, the monetary policy rate acts as the benchmark for lending in Nigeria, and commercial banks typically align their interest rates with the MPR. So you see instances where at the point when you get a loan from the bank and the offer letter is issued, there's a clause around pricing or around interest rates, which states that interest rates are subject to upward or downward review in line with the prevailing money market conditions. Now, this clause may be different from the way I've said it, depending on the bank, but it's typically tied around the money market's rate. The question now is, how can a business strategically position itself to benefit lower borrowing rates from a financial institution? The first way you can do this is by negotiating with the bank. You can approach your bank, your financial institution, engage them to renegotiate the terms of your loan, especially if the loan is tied to the MPR. Now, the bank would also be willing to adjust your rate either downward or upward depending on the case. In this instance, given that it is a reduction in MPR, we expect that it will be a reduction in the interest rate or in borrowing costs. Let's look at the key considerations while negotiating for a lower interest rate with a commercial bank. The first point is that you're going to write to the commercial bank. So it's not an informal communication, it is a formal communication. You need to document, you need to write officially to the bank. When you're doing this, you leverage on the MPR cut as a benchmark. You're going to use this as a reference point when initiating a request to your lender, stating the need or stating the request to reduce interest rates. Now, what am I saying here? If, for example, you took a loan from a commercial bank, let's say Zenith Bank, now that there is a reduction in MPR, you're going to be writing to Zenith Bank requesting for a reduction in the interest rate, given that MPR has been reduced by 50 basis points. The second point is that you need to review the type of loan that you have with the bank. Is it a loan with a floating interest rate or a loan with a fixed interest rate? If it's a floating interest rate, it makes it very easy for you to send in this request to the bank. The next point is that you must ensure that you present strong financials. What am I trying to say here? In your request to the bank, you need to demonstrate consistent inflows in terms of revenue. You need to also demonstrate stable cash flows because it is your cash flows that you use to settle your debt. And you need to also demonstrate that you've had positive repayment history, and going forward, you will still maintain that record with the bank. And then to your request would state a reduction in the interest rate. You need to state clearly how that reduction would also be able to support your business as you go on within the economy. And then the final point is that in your request letter as well, you need to now properly state the reason for that letter, which is the request for reduction in interest rate, and state that it is going to be beneficial to your business. Where the rate is dropped or is reduced, it helps you to, generate more profit in the business that would be plowed back and help to drive growth into the business. Now, for your policy, it might not be to plow back profit, but in the case it is, yes, you state that in your letter. But most importantly, what that should focus on is really stating that this reduction would help to drive growth in your business from a profitability standpoint. I hope this information has been very helpful, and I encourage you to take quick advantage of this reduction in MPR. It is going to be very beneficial for your business. It will help to reduce finance costs, It will help to increase liquidity in your business, and most importantly, ensure that when this happens, you also manage cash flows within your business effectively. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening, and do have a great one.